evidence that does prove otherwise. Now these guys, they don't have a dog in the fight. From what I understand, they're not creationists at all. In fact, if you ask them, I think they're evolutionists. I don't know. But they say, and let me say who they are. They're specialists of Cambodian temple art. That's all they do. They just go around and take pictures of Cambodian temple art. They're the most widely recognized authorities on Cambodian temple art in the world. Here's what they say. Roundels, and look at all the little technical stuff. I mean, why don't they just say a carving on the wall, but then roundels on pilasters on the south side of the west entrance shows an animal that bears a striking resemblance to a stegosaurus. Now watch what they say. A very convincing representation of a stegosaurus. Why would they say that? One reason. It looks just like a stegosaurus. It is a very convincing representation of a stegosaurus, and there's only one reason why you try to get rid of this idea. If all your life you've been told no human being's ever seen a live dinosaur. And, just for your information, that's false. Now, this guy's name is Dr. Javier Cabrera Darquella. In 1930s, he was given a stone that was carved by pre-Incan Indians in the area of Ica. So don't get confused. Pre-Incan Indians in the area of Ica, Peru, as you look. This is not Inca, Peru, but it's Ica. Right there, that's where it is in Peru. I've actually been very close to that. He was finding all kinds of these stones after on one of those he found a carving of a fish that he thought was supposed to have been extinct millions of years ago. And he said, how in the world did these Indians carve a fish that was supposed to be extinct millions of years ago? Now this guy's ideas were crazy. He said that aliens had come down and some type of time travel, and it was a wacko idea. So if you're going to put much stock in this guy's ideas, you can't really, because they were crazy, had to do with aliens and various other things. Now the stones that he came up with, they found about 11,000 of them. And on the stones you see crazy stuff. Lots of it, about a third of it's just pornographic. You wouldn't show it to your kids. It's just stuff that this Indian culture decided they wanted to put in stone form and keep for historical reference. And lots of it is odd, like a brain surgery with very primitive, odd-looking tools. They're showing brain surgery, and they have found some skulls in the area that show signs of brain surgery and have healed back and some things like that. But several of the stones show carvings of animals. And they show carvings of animals that look very much like this. Now, you're looking at those, and you're asking the simple question, what do those look like? Well, you can see exactly what they look like. They look just exactly like dinosaurs. No question about that. You see people interacting with these dinosaurs. This odd fish right here, salamander type fish thing, it's in almost every one of them. There's another plant. It's a very odd plant-like thing. See this fish-like thing? It's in almost every one of them. Lots of these depict people fighting these creatures. Lots of times the creatures are biting and killing the people. Sometimes the people are killing the creatures, chopping off their heads, various asunder action photos. You wouldn't call them photos. I guess you'd call them action carvings. Here's what's interesting about that. Let's go back to the Flintstones. Do you remember, I asked you, have you seen the Flintstones? You remember the Flintstones dog? No, it wasn't really a dog. What was he? He was a dinosaur. What did they call him? What was it? Dino. You remember Dino? What, did he have spikes on his back, or was his back smooth? Smooth. Very smooth back. He was one of those long-necked, long-tailed plant-eating dinosaurs that had a very smooth back, and there's a good reason for him having a smooth back. Until 1992, that's how we thought all of those long-necked, long-tailed plant-eating dinosaurs looked. We thought they all had smooth backs. Now, if you're trying to fake these Ica stones, and you're carving dinosaurs that look just like Dino, except you're putting spikes on their back, why in the world would you do that if you're trying to convince people that you know about these dinosaurs? Well, it just so happens that this picture, I know for a fact, was taken before 1975. Here's how I know that. I had in my hand a book with the publication date 1975 on it, and those pictures are in it. Now, I think they're from the 1950s. We're going to say we know for a fact they're from the 1975, before 1975. Now, here's what's interesting about this. They have spikes on their back. Did you know, remember I said Stephen Cherkis, curator of the Dinosaur Museum in Blanding, Utah? Stephen Cherkis in 1992 in the prestigious journal Geology wrote, recent discovery of fossilized sauropod skin impressions, read it with me, reveals a significantly different appearance for these dinosaurs. The fossilized skin demonstrates that a middle row of spines was present. Some are quite narrow and others are broader and more conical. What did these dinosaurs have on their backs? When did we learn that they had spines on their backs? 1992? I know those pictures were from 1975, and what did those dinosaurs that look just like Dino, what did they have on their backs? Spines. Why in the world would you put spines on the back of a creature like that? Really only one reason. If you were privy to some information that we didn't have until 1992, and how would you be privy to that if you lived at a time where you actually saw dinosaurs? Now, this is a statement by Ellen Bishop Morris. She says the biggest spines found were about 9 inches long, shaped a little like a shark's dorsal fin. The smallest at tail tip were about 3 inches high. What does that look like? Shaped a little like a shark's dorsal fin. Whoever carved these stones looked like they had information we know in 1975 before we got it in 1992. No human beings ever seen a live dinosaur? Oh, read that. That is false. Now, here are some. The truth is, I could do this for hours. This is just a handful of stuff. Now, you'll never see this in any of your science textbooks. You'll never read about this in most any of your history textbooks, because this shows that human beings and dinosaurs did live together. 1942, a man by the name of Vladimir Jules Root was riding his horse at the bottom of the El Toro Mountain in Acambro, Mexico. He saw some pottery. He thought, wow, looks interesting. Got down, dug it up, and he found just pottery. So he paid a farmer, local farmer, 1 peso per piece of pottery that the farmer brought to him that was whole, not broken. Well, the farmer brought to him thousands and thousands of pieces. Lots of them were bowls, lots of them were cups. Some of them were carvings, figurines just like this. They also had the spines on these plant-eating like dinosaurs. They sent some of these figurines to the University of Pennsylvania. Oh, well, they didn't send any of the dinosaur figurines. They just sent some of the pottery, pots and bowls and some things like that. They said, could you give us your evolutionary dating method for this? And they sent it back. They said, yeah, we'll date that for you. We say it's 4,500 years before present. That would be 2500 BC. Later, they found out some of the figurines were dinosaurs, and they said, oh, no, hold on, we must be wrong on our dates. Well, why would you pull your dates back? You find out that you just dated a bunch of pottery. Those dinosaurs look exactly like the pots that you dated, and you just dated them to 4,500 years before present, and you've got plant-eating dinosaurs that had spikes on their backs that we didn't learn about until 1992, and you have just shaken the foundations of evolutionary theory, haven't you? And so that's why. Now, here's what I think is very interesting. You know what a fossil is? A fossil is where something gets buried and the bone gets replaced with minerals, like silica or something else hard, so that when you dig up the bone, you're not looking at a bone, you're looking at a rock in the shape of the bone. Well, that's what we thought all dinosaur fossils were. And then they pulled up a dinosaur fossil, and I'm using fossils in quotation there because they pulled up one, and as they were transporting it, from what I understand, it broke in the middle, and it wasn't a fossil. It hadn't been replaced by minerals and silica and stuff. It was still a bone. And when they started looking in the bone, they realized that not only is it still a bone, but there's some soft tissue in it, some red blood cells and collagen. In fact, such soft tissue that they said you could pull it apart and stretch it and snap it, and it would snap back in place. Now, if you have a dinosaur bone, it's not been fossilized, and you're saying it's 65 million years old, and it's got red blood cells in it, what should you say? Oh, we must be wrong about our dates. There's no possible way red blood cells can last 65 million years. What did they say? Oh, wow, we didn't know red blood cells would last 65 million years. Red blood cells don't last 65 million years. How in the world could you find a dinosaur bone that's not fossilized, that still has red blood cells in it, and expect people to honestly believe that it's 65 million years old? Well, there's only one way. If every single person that had read most every single dinosaur book ever was told that no human being ever saw a live dinosaur, then you could foist on the popular group of people reading this that dinosaur bones could somehow, we don't know, there's no scientific way, but we're going to have to say it happened. Dinosaur bones had red blood cells, soft tissue in them that lasted 65 million years, because otherwise that would mean dinosaurs and humans lived together, and we can't stomach that. Well, no, you can't stomach that because it would really shake the foundations of